Hello, welcome back to my channel, guys. It is G here. I am seriously lazing. Well, I'm not lazy, but I'm kind of having a lazier day. I'm lazing in my bed with like a crochet project that I'm working on. And I was watching some commentary on some women things, and I was like, you know what, I haven't done one of these videos in a little while where I'm chatting about, things that I've seen on social media and just kind of the general state of things for Black women, dating, all of these things. And so I thought I'd do another video like that, and I wanted to talk a little bit about divested Black women and some of the challenges that I see with divested Black women. And guys, subscribe to my channel, and I really want to talk about how I feel a lot of these women who say they're divested are still very male-centered, and they are probably not that great of people for women to listen to, because even though they are, saying that they're putting themselves first, it's all like based around man stuff. So guys, subscribe and let's have a little chat.
From this day onward, I pledge to remain beautiful. I'm only available for enjoyment. Anything stress, my number is not available.
Okay, so do you guys want to know about my crochet work at all? Let me know in the comments. I'm really new at it. I'm actually trying to make I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to show you guys when it's done. Hopefully it gets done within the next couple of weeks if I can ever get past this section of it. But anyway, I'm working, I'm learning, I'm doing all kinds of things that are new as a part of like just trying to be more positive, trying to also be more of myself, because I feel sometimes like I've lost aspects of like who I am in travel, becoming a mom, like grounding myself here, and I'm trying to reconnect. So I have a new hobby. Anyway, I've been watching these like commentaries, channels, whatever, about, empowering women who say they are divested, and specifically divested in the sense that it's not just about Black men, but divested in the sense that they are moving past like this male focused thing, but all of their conversations are about men. All of the conversations are still focused on different aspects of stuff with dudes. And this male-centered behavior ultimately makes them very negative towards other women. Anytime you're male-centered, you put that man above yourself as well as other women. And anything that goes wrong with other women, you end up kind of like looking at them like, girl, how did you play the role? Like, what was your fault? And of course, we all have responsibilities and everything, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you see a man who is cheating on his wife, often we blame the woman in which he's cheating with, right? And we have no empathy, no sympathy, no understanding for her. We'll be like, well, she knew, she's this, she's that, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times we know how men lie, we know how men present, and we will still try and blame the woman who is also kind of a victim in the situation where a man is not completely honest, he's not completely forthright, and he's the one who made the vows to another woman. He's the one who stepped out in his marriage. He's the one. And I actually had this conversation. Now, this is kind of personal, but my mother, when I was young, she was a side chick, right? And I actually had this conversation with one of the children of of the guy she used to be in a relationship with, where he was blaming my mother for his father's infidelity on his mom. And I was like, aren't side chicks like vampires? They can't come in unless they're invited, right? Like, there is no woman in the world who has been a side piece and was like forced herself on a man where he's just like, oh, I can't do anything other than like acquiesce to her advances, right? We all have the ability to say no, right? Or not invite someone in, because usually it's the man who pursues the women in these instances. And there's so much to that story, but that I can't get into. But when I start listening to some of the women, some of these comments, and they'll be like, you know, they're like, I'm divested, but they still have this male-centered mentality, right? Even some of the commentary where it's like Black women who are divested from Black men, then they take that focus and put it on other ethnicities of men. When for me, divesting would be about not being focused on maleness, period. It's really starting to center yourself in what your well-being and what you're doing, and how you can grow as a human in this world, connect with the people you need to connect with, and that's generally other women, in the sense of sisterhood, support, and the people who are going to support you, grow old with you, and be friends with you for a lifetime. I mean, I know personally that I have, and I feel very lucky, like I've had really long-term friends, like, and I know, actually I was talking to my girlfriends about this recently, where we were basically like trying to understand, you know, the dynamics of friendships, because it seems that people who had friends since they're like their best friend, they'll like have known them for like 5 minutes. You know, like that's my best friend. We've known each other for 2 years. I've known my best friend since I was like 13 years old. And apparently it's pretty uncommon nowadays to have these long-term friendships and be able to maintain relationships like that. And I would say that one of the reasons is around women being male focused. A lot of times we start to neglect our female friends. We start to not being as good of a person to our female friends when a man is involved. And it has nothing to do with that man, and it has everything to do with us. We become fearful of like, oh, like I can't hang out with my single girlfriends anymore because I don't want him to think I'm in these streets. I don't want him to. Men don't do those things. Men don't hang out necessarily with their friends because they don't have any. And then that burden falls on us. And that burden of them not having relationships, not knowing how to have relationships, and not maintaining their own relationships, they expect the same of us. And in truth, most of the times, our girlfriends treat us better than any men that we knew. Like, I remember once one of my really good friends, like, we got into this thing where she saw these shoes that she liked. And I was like, girl, you're never gonna wear them shoes. Like, they are not cute. They weren't cute. And she was never gonna wear these shoes. She came up with all of these scenarios that she was like, I could wear them in the apple orchard, a pumpkin patch picking, or some shit. And I was like, you're not gonna do any of those things. But you know what I did? I bought her those shoes. I did. I bought her those shoes. They weren't cheap either. But I bought her those shoes just because I knew she wasn't gonna wear them. I mean, I got the receipt for them and everything so she could exchange them when she realized she wasn't gonna wear them, which she did. But I think about those things from my past, and I think that when I see my friends, even when I went home to the States this past October, all of my friends took care of me. All of my girlfriends, they took care of me. They supported my kids. It was no moment in time where we talked about, you know, my relationship, their dating, their relationships, whatever the case may be. But there was no fear or loss of time between us, just because I had been away. And I hadn't been home in like 3 years. So I started thinking about these things in respect to male centeredness. And I have been guilty, I think, since I've been here. And why I said I'm like reconnecting with myself, I have been guilty of centering everyone else except for like me. And it wasn't so much just male centeredness, but with children and all of these things, you feel a certain way, you feel guilty about leaving the house even, and you know, like everyone's gonna be stressed out without you there or something. I had to stop that. I really did. I really had to reconnect and refine myself and start doing more things that I enjoy and focused in on my pleasure. Because I realized when I arrived here in Italy, I was like on this journey of just that. Like, what do I want? What, and actually I came here to Italy and to separate myself from where I was to think about that. And then I met somebody, and like, you guys know the story if you've been following me. But I recognized how lonely that truly is, because since I don't have a ton of friends here, and I don't have those same relationships that I have back home. I don't think that I was like in a place where I couldn't center everyone else, because I didn't have like myself in a certain way, you know, because I do wrap myself up in some aspects of these relationships with these women that I'm friends with. And I think not having them here, it was just like, well, I just wrap myself up in the relationship that I'm in, you know? And if you're in a relationship with a man, you can't ever do that. Ever, ever, ever. And that was like something I had to remind myself of. And when I see these women who say they're divested, but they're still really male-centered, they're hateful towards other women in certain ways, and they don't even realize that's what's happening. And I see their commentary, I see their comments, I see their content, and I'm like, if you're truly divested, you should be leading women in directions that empower them for themselves, not talking about how this ethnicity of man sucks versus this one, how this one's going to give you flowers versus this one, like it, because none of it matters, because all men in the end suck. But guys, I just wanted to talk a little bit on that, because I think there is this opportunity for women to reset, you know, because reset and refocus on really building community with one another. And like, that's what it comes down to. If you're divesting from the BS that men give, doesn't mean that you hate all men. It definitely means, however, that the focus is changed, and centering yourself in these relationships, even when you're in a relationship. And that's when it's probably more challenging with patriarchy and men being men and all of those things. To continue to do that, you have to be conscious, you have to be aware, and you have to be ready to say no often. So guys, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to having a conversation with you in the comments. I'm gonna get back to trying to do this this is the first time like I'm trying to freehand something, so it's a challenge. I'm trying to get past like just this little section on this thing, but it's gonna come along. It's gonna get there, and I'll show you guys the results of this project that I am working on. If you guys are more interested, definitely let me know, and I can tell you about my crochet journey. I made it inside the stitch I was trying to get into. Let's see if I can make it back through. Anyway, subscribe, and I look forward to chatting with you, and ciao ciao for now.